Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. In today's episode, I have Thomas LeBlanc in the building. Thomas, what's going on, man?
Not much. How are you?
I am good. So we've done a number of these. So Thomas, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Thomas LeBlanc. I work for Three Cloud Solutions. I'm a senior architect there, so I work for different clients on mainly Power BI related items. My main good skill, or very experienced skill, is with data modeling. So I've done dimensional modeling now for 10 or 15 years. You'll hear it called star schema. I'm still from the Kimball group of dimensional modeling. So that's my strong points, but they have me doing various things. I've been inside of IT for over 30 years now. I started as a developer back in the XBase days of DBase, FoxPro, RBase. Did some Clipper, some Visual FoxPro, Visual Basic, and then I transitioned to the data area. The developers were doing a much better job with interfaces than what I could do, like user interfaces, not like interfaces between applications. And I figured the data was better for me. So I moved over there. I got a MCDBA back when it first started a long time ago for SQL Server. And so I specialized in SQL Server and got started in a local user group. Patrick LeBlanc started the SQL Server user group here in Baton Rouge. There was a .NET user group, but he cranked that up along with SQL Saturday. And my career took off, starting to speak at conferences, SQL Saturdays, the Pass Summit, the Live 360. They had some dev conferences that kind of came and go in between that. And I did a lot of DBA work with relational databases, but I was a big normalization kind of guy, third, fourth, fifth normal form, and developers weren't doing that. And so I transitioned to data warehousing, and I've been in there ever since, just mainly because I can have a little more control over the design of databases.
I love it, man. So really quite the journey. Just hearing where you started to where you're at, and in your intro, you named some tools that I've never used a day in my life. So I always respect the craft, and I learn something when I have these conversations. But thinking about that, what really compels you to get into data to begin with?
Well, it was because I really wasn't good at developing software. I was good at the back end part of it, the data part, insert, update, deletes. I learned a lot about the structure of databases, especially with SQL Server. And I don't know, my mindset was more in that optimization area, like how do you optimize it? How do you get it to come out faster? And it intrigued me because going to some of these conferences, like the Past Summit, I would sit and watch these guys, like, where did they learn this? Or I remember one of them, I went to a SQL Saturday in New York, and this guy was talking about weight states. And I'm like, what are weight states? And this guy had like a physics degree, and he created this tool in Oracle, and now is in SQL Server. I'm like, I will never use that. Like 3 years later, I'm downloading a free copy of it, 14-day trial, because I didn't want to work with the BI group. And it showed them all their issues. And it was basically it was missing a primary key clustered index on 4 fact tables. And I was like a miracle worker. It went from 2 days running to 10 hours, and eventually got it to run in about 2 hours. So I got just curious about how do you do that. And I mean, that leads to the book that I was able to just do the second edition of, and it's really about performance tuning. And it seems like it's a leftover thing, and my mind just kind of sits that way. It's like, how do we optimize this? It's not how do we tell this. I'm not like guided towards how do you tell the story. I'm like, how do we get it to them faster, or more efficient, or better design, where the next person coming behind them doesn't have really problems with it.
Well, that's great, and that actually is a fascinating point that I never thought about from a warehouse perspective so like I'm on the front end of the connecting with the client, the stakeholders, right? So what's the story? What are the insights? What's the business intel? So on and so forth. But it's fascinating to hear you say, like, how can we get it to the end user faster and optimize and more performance, which leads to better outcomes at the end of the day.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're going to use it. I mean, you can make something look really nice. It could be real busy and a lot of things, a lot of flashing, and then all of a sudden it slows down, and a person, 3-5 seconds later, are like, I'm not gonna
Right.
use this. And then you just lost all that work you did because it's not coming out to them fast enough. And then they just throw it to the side. I don't know, I mean, how many times I've been on the report writing side. It was funny at one of these companies. I didn't create this, but they would track the number of times a report was used, and they would base that off of new report requests. Like if they just create a report and no one's using it, and then they want this new report done, they were like, well, we're going to go work on somebody else's because you're not even using the one. And you ask them, well, why aren't you using it? Well, it was too slow. It wasn't fast enough for me. So it's important to do it optimally, architect it correctly, and spend that little extra time just making sure the internals of it are properly done or done through some best practices.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, so pivoting a little bit, thinking about your roles and different jobs, I'm sure there's some stuff that you've done in your career, not even data related, that has not been your favorite. So, what would you think is your least favorite job to date that you had?
I was trying to think of this. All I could think of was when I sold lady shoes in high school and college. I made a lot of money, but that was probably one of my least favorite jobs. Even though I did it for like 4 years and it helped fund my college. But I think that was the least favorite so far in IT. I don't think there's a least favorite. I think some of them have been discouraging because, and I don't know if a lot of job applicants are having this problem where you read the description of a job and you think, oh, I'm gonna get to do this. And you get in there and they're like, well, not quite yet. Here's what you're gonna do. And I've had one or two of those that really discouraged me and made me leave a company really quick.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I've had that as well, right? You think you're doing one thing, but the reality is blank, and there's so much behind the scenes stuff that you walked in, you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
And I mean, your mindset, has to, well, how can I best use this
Yeah.
situation? And it's when you're discouraged, it's harder to get into that mindset of working hard or learning more or expanding your knowledge and or at least using that experience to benefit you or benefit the customers or client that you're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So thinking about, lessons, jobs that you've had, different opportunities and stuff, what is one big lesson that you think one of your jobs has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Well, think over the years, I've probably not done the best job at this, but uh, being nice and finding a solution to something is better than complaining about the problem. I know I've complained about a lot of things, and sometimes I pause, and they'll say, "Well, you got anything to say?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this," rather than the immediate reaction to something. To be able to pause for a second, try to think, you know, if you were in the other person's shoes and they're asking you this question or putting you in this situation, why are they doing it? Well, probably because maybe someone else put them in that position or the client had put them in that position. So try to see their side before you react in a which I've done many times, react in a not so positive way.
Yeah. No, I love that. I
It's
love
tough.
that answer.
I have difficulties with that.
All right, look, that's a great answer. That's a really fantastic answer to kind of take a breath or, think about how to articulate what you're, wanting to say, not just be in the heat of the moment. Um,
It's good to
so
have some people. It's good to have somebody to pass things by. I mean, I work remotely now, and I've met some people, and we have teams. So I get into a lot of teams chat with a couple of people. Like over time, I've been here about 3 years, and I try to talk to some of them, and then I learn which ones maybe you'll get on a little call real quick, so you can kind of pass something by
yeah,
them first, or even your manager or your manager's manager. And I mean, I've had to do that just to, hey, I'm disturbed about this. What do you think? What should I do? What would you do if you were in this position? So
yeah,
finding someone to talk to is big.
it
I
is.
would
It's
strongly
definitely.
suggest that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, Thomas, tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
I had one boss at this company called Amedisys, which was a home health care company, and for some reason, he seemed more personal to me. Um, we had work to do, and I walked out on him one day too. We had to convert these. companies. We were requiring companies we had to convert their data, and we'd get the data like on a Friday, and we'd be up till midnight on Friday night or into the morning. And one time he kept asking me to change something, and I just walked out, and he had to call me and get me back. And he didn't fire me, but he said, "Hey, I really need you," and we become friends. And he's retired, and I still talk to him. He brought me fishing the other day, and he was different to me as a personal individual than he was a manager, which I think that's, he looked at more of the personal things than the work things. And I think that's really good to have a friend like that, or some other people, or be that way for somebody else. We did this SQL Saturday, and this lady walked in to volunteer on a Wednesday night. Her name was Brittany. I'll never forget her. And she was standing there, and I didn't recognize her. And I recognized, we have a group that hang out in our SQL Saturday. And I said, I was like, "Hi, my name's Thomas." She said, "My name's Brittany, such and such." And I'm like, "You here to volunteer?" She goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, why did you decide to volunteer?" And she's like, "Well, I'm at Women's Hospital, which is where most people have babies in Baton Rouge, and I'm in this position, but I want to be in the Epic analyst position, and I thought this would be a good opportunity." I'm like, "So how did you find it?" She said, "Well, I went on Meetup, saw it, signed up," and so she helped me. Sort the shirts out, put the sizes on them, get them to the right people, and then that was Wednesday, and then Saturday she showed up, had her T-shirt on, walked around talking to people, and then went to a bunch of sessions, and then she won a prize at the end of the night, and I was just amazed at that person. And there was two more that volunteered, just came and helped out because they saw something in IT that attracted them. They weren't in IT. One of them wasn't. One of them was a student at LSU, and one of them just graduated from LSU. And they saw us as an opportunity uh, to help them in their career, or even sort out if that's the career they wanted.
Hmm.
And that was the most encouraging thing about this last SQL Saturday. There's a bunch of other things, but that was the most encouraging because, I met three people new to it volunteering, and I was able to talk to them on that personal level rather than, an IT level, but it was at an IT event, which was really cool.
That's awesome. I love that, and that's the impact and everything you want to do when you have these type of events that behind the scenes are exhausting and tired, and everything that comes along with it. You were seeing those and making those connections and relationships and potential light bulbs, all of it. Right, it makes it all worthwhile.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, Thomas. I know you got a book out. You got a lot of content. So where can listeners find you at online?
So I'm on Twitter. My nickname on Twitter is called the Smiling DBA. That's why they told me not to change it because it was a good brand at the time. So it's still the Smiling DBA. I guess it's called X now, not Twitter. But you can search me on LinkedIn. I have a Gmail account, the Smiling DBA at gmail.com. You can contact me there. The book's on Amazon. It's Power BI Performance Best Practices. It's a second edition. There was a gentleman from Microsoft that now works for, I think, Salesforce, that wrote the first edition. So he did a lot of the work. The objective of this edition was to go through it and find things that are new in Power BI. It was going through the book, or the first edition, really taught me a lot too that I didn't quite know about Power BI, and it made me search very diligently into all the aspects. And there's a lot. There's 5 different sections in it, and there's just a lot of things to learn about Power BI you might not know about, and the tools to help you. Those Tabular Editor, the DAX Studio, go to the SQLBI.com. All those guys are really great, and they provided a lot of input. Some of the Microsoft PMs did. I can tell you, I just noticed, and I found 2 articles, and not articles, but conversations today on Reddit. I've never been a Reddit person, but it looks like if you like, I go do on the user group site for Fabric and Power BI. I'm what they call a super user,
Yeah.
super Power BI user. Something. Not only am I a data platform MVP, but I became a Power BI super user on that. That answers a lot of questions people have. And it looks like this Reddit is full of some Power BI cat people and program managers. So you might be finding me over there now because I just found two, answers to questions over there, and now I gotta go somewhere else, kind of pivot.
Yeah, yeah, same. Alex Powers, he's leading the charge on that, and he pulled me into Reddit. I had him on the episode, and I was like, all right, should I post this on Reddit? He's like, yeah, do it. And then from there, similar concept, right? Now I'm looking at the channels. I'm like, oh, this is a good question. Oh, this is a good answer. Oh, like, whoa, this is like a really good, place for consumption of information, particularly the Power BI. So I'll see you on the Reddit.
Yeah, so now I'm on Reddit. Yeah, so just in this last month, and you've got to look. You got to find where the
Yeah.
people are answering, and it's a difficult to discern where to go to find something is very hard. So having somebody to ask these little 10-minute, or this one's probably going to be 20 minutes. Way I've been talking. These little things to find those people in the industry that you should go either try to follow or go watch where they're watching. I don't proclaim to be a great person to give you an answer. I can give some simple ones, but the main thing I've learned in my career is don't try to remember everything. Just know where to go to get the answer.
Yes. That is a great closer. We're going to close with that one. Figure out where to get the answer, man. Thomas, thank you so much for joining me on 10 Minute Tuesdays. This was great. This was awesome. And like I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And then we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.